Go tell your friends. Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you. And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and everyone marveled. Hi, I'm Gary, and you're watching 7 Minutes in the Word. In last week's lesson, Jesus and his disciples were crossing the Sea of Galilee when a large windstorm arose. The boat was filling with water, and the disciples despaired that the boat would sink. They woke up Jesus, who was asleep in the stern, and they complained that he didn't care that they were about to die. Jesus rebuked the storm in the same way that he had rebuked the evil spirits, and the storm became silent, and the lake became smooth as glass. Jesus then questioned his disciples why they had such little faith in him. And they questioned among themselves, "Who is this man who could command even the winds and the waves?" They didn't know who they were with. In today's lesson, the boat reaches the eastern shore of the Sea of Galilee, and Jesus goes ashore alone. Mark 5, 1 through 13. They came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gerasenes. And when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. He lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he often had been bound with shackles and chains, but he wrenched the chains apart and broke the shackles in pieces. No one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains he was crying out and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him, and crying out with a loud voice, he said, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." For he was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" And he replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he begged him earnestly not to send them out of the country. Now a great herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside. And they begged him, saying, "Send us into the pigs, let us enter them." So he gave them permission. And the unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs. And the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the sea. This is an account of an actual event. These things really happened and should not be mistaken for being just a story that Mark was telling or a parable. This is an account of God in the flesh confronting evil, also in the flesh. But it can also be seen as a metaphor for why Jesus came into the world. Jesus came into the world alone. He did not bring a league of angels with him. He had no need for anyone standing behind him. He came in the power of the God of heaven and earth. He needed no backup. He came to face and defeat evil. He came to release man from captivity to sin. He came to restore man's dignity. Jesus was vastly outnumbered, but that didn't matter. The evil spirits had no power to withstand Jesus, and Satan has no power over man, and no chains to bind man that Jesus cannot break. Jesus' power over Satan and his minions is absolute. Jesus wins. Let's continue reading Mark, the 5th chapter, verses 14 through 20. The herdsmen fled and told in the city and in the country. And people came to see what it was that had happened. And they came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man, the one who had the legion, sitting there, clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And those who had seen it described to them what had happened to the demon-possessed man and to the pigs. And they began to beg Jesus to depart from the region. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed with demons begged him that he might be with him. And he did not permit him, but said to him, "Go home to your friends, and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and everyone marveled. The reaction of the people to what Jesus had done can also be seen reflected in the way people still react to Jesus to this day. People then and now are afraid of what they do not understand. The people in our lesson saw the changes in the man who had been possessed by demons. They saw that he had been released from demonic captivity, and he had been cleaned up. Jesus had restored the man's dignity. The people did not understand how this happened, and it frightened them. Just as people today do not understand how people are changed when they become Christ followers, and this frightens them. The people in our lesson also did not like what had happened to their livelihood. Even though it was the evil spirits that destroyed the herd of pigs, the people blamed Jesus. They asked him to leave. They did not want him changing their way of life. The same is true today. People still reject Jesus for the same reasons. As Jesus was leaving, the man who had been released and restored asked to go with him, but Jesus told him to stay. He told him, "Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." Mark tells us that the man did as Jesus had instructed him, and he went and he told the people. And the people marveled when they heard the good news. As Christ followers, we have been released from the power of sin. We have been given dignity and hope. Like Jesus' disciples of 2,000 years ago, Jesus has told us that we have a mission. We are to tell our friends and people we meet about Jesus and what he has done for us. We are to tell them about how he has changed us and saved us and restored us. Like the man released from the demons, we have been released from sin and have a wonderful story of good news to tell. And Jesus has said, "Go tell your friends." Thank you for watching today. Please give us a thumbs up and click that subscribe button down in the lower right-hand corner. This is our 52nd 7 Minutes in the Word. Next week we will feature one of the early lessons. So please come back again next week for an encore presentation of 7 Minutes in the Word.